What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is what if a mega earthquake hit California. I've heard, I can't remember what it's called, there is something there, which it's like, they call it the belt or something. I may be completely wrong on this, and I'm pretty sure if an earthquake hits there, it can be like mega, like absolutely like a mega earthquake. You guys all know exactly what I'm referring to. I just can't remember what it's called. And I can't remember the things behind it, so you're just gone out because you don't know about it. Yeah, but people do know a little bit about it. Hopefully kind of get what I'm saying. If not, ignore me. I've made no sense and this video is going to explain it. Smash that like button if you enjoy it. Smash that subscribe button as well, you absolute legends. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
So we get straight into it. What if a mega earthquake hit California? Fingers crossed none does anytime soon.
Catastrophic earthquake scenarios have played out on the silver screen for decades, terrifying viewers with quakes that can collapse skyscrapers or topple entire cities. Here's what will happen if the big one hits the West Coast.
What movie is that?
I have no idea.
On July 4th, 2019, Ridgecrest, California was hit with a 6.4 magnitude earthquake and then a 7.1 just one day later. But neither of these compare to the long-awaited big one, which scientists predict will eventually rattle the Golden Coast. But when it hits, what will that actually look like? Here's what experts say could happen in the seconds, hours, and days after the big one. While experts can't know exactly when a quake will occur, they have a pretty good idea of where. California is located in a hot zone of fault lines, the most notorious of them, the San Andreas Fault.
You know, here in California, you have dangers from a number of different.
That's what I was referring to by the belt kind of thing. Just to clear that up.
Kinds of earthquakes. The major danger is from the earthquakes on the San Andreas Fault system.
On average, the San Andreas Fault ruptures every 150 years, but southern parts of the fault have remained inactive for over 200 years.
We haven't had a big earthquake in Southern California really since 1857.
In other words, we're overdue for a major shake. According to a 2008 federal report, the most likely scenario is a 7.8 magnitude quake that would rupture a 200-mile stretch along the southernmost part of the fault.
It's basically moving the ground several yards over an area of 50 square miles. So, you know, the power of magnitude 7.8 earthquake is probably close to the power used in the whole state for a year. Basically something that we as a civilization have trouble creating with short of like a nuclear explosion.
How much power?
If you're near the epicenter of the earthquake, it will be nearly impossible to stand.
People have this idea of running out of bed, out of their
kids in their bed, and your animals are in there.
It's weird.
Because you don't know it's happened. Like, that will happen really fast, between like nothing to something.
To literally, yeah.
But, like you. What would you even do?
I know, it's like...
it's dangerous to move around your house as well.
It's got to be. Potentially stuff falling because the structures, obviously, it's been a bit damaged. It was weird because I was literally thinking as it happened, it's like, an earthquake to us is just a tiny, tiny thing. And you think, oh, did you feel that earthquake last night? And then most people slept through it because it's like the tiniest of rumbles. But that, where the whole bed is moving.
But like everything's falling off the bookcase.
Yeah, that's scary. And unfortunately with them ones, you do get a lot of casualties because houses do collapse and stuff like that.
Well, you think about how much stuff fell on the bed. Anyone sleeping in the bed.
Yeah. And that's only light stuff. Think about houses collapsing and stuff like that. It's so, so scary. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but it doesn't sound good with the overdue, does it? Does not sound good at all. And that pool video, that was mad. That pool was going for it. Again, we just kind of, a little tremble, don't we?
Yeah, just like, I mean, I've never
shouted in the UK. Mother Nature. Scary. Yeah. It is scary.
Buildings, and that's a terrible idea because a lot of what we see in earthquakes is people with broken legs and people who run through glass. And the best thing to do, like we always say, is duck, cover, and hold. Get under some piece of furniture, and you know the main point is to protect your head and chest.
During and immediately following the shaking, buildings could collapse.
The number of buildings that were constructed before about 1980
was
really significant.
That was a movie.
Most of these buildings are very vulnerable to damage and collapse.
In this time-lapse video, you can see how building components would hold up in a high-magnitude earthquake.
Because the San Andreas will produce the kind of long-period shaking which would be very damaging to very tall buildings, say in downtown LA and Century City and Long Beach and so forth. Older steel buildings, the connections in them have not necessarily been designed to withstand the maximum forces that actually can be generated.
Unreinforced structures are the least stable, but even buildings up to code could crumble.
The building code, with its minimum requirements, does not ensure that the building will be serviceable after an earthquake. It's intended to not kill anybody. There's a sense that if it's modern, code-designed, it's earthquake-proof and everything should be great, but that's not the reality.
5 steel high-rises could collapse completely, while 10 others will be red-tagged or unsafe to enter. And no, the quake would not cause a tsunami, despite what movies would have you believe.
To trigger a tsunami, it takes an earthquake that moves the ocean floor.
Imagine being on a bridge.
And most of the San Andreas is on land. So there'd be a little bit of waves generated from...
Oh, what, during that earthquake? Well, I think on this case, because it's on land...
That was a movie, wasn't it, though?
Yeah, that...
Okay, good.
That was definitely a movie.
The thing is it's obviously really serious.
Yeah.
But I'm getting missided by the videos I'm seeing, the movie ones, because the movie ones always make it out to look like...
Yeah, well...
It is bad, but they make it...
Yeah, they make it seem worse. But to be fair to the video, they did say, like, to have you believe in the movies. And then it showed a movie clip.
Yeah, so, like, I'm obviously going to believe it.
No, I know what you mean. But luckily, like we said, on this one, it's all over ground pretty much. So a bridge won't really be affected. But I kind of mean, if it was over a bridge, it'd be...
Yeah, but, like, you'd be... I'd be
San Andreas earthquake, but nothing that'd be dangerous.
The quake could kill about 1,800 people and leave 50,000 or more with injuries. While people could die from falling debris and collapsed structures, the highest death toll would be from fires.
Oh, wow.
Historically, the biggest hazard from earthquakes has been fire. In the 1906 earthquake, there were 3,000 or 4,000 people who were just caught in that wave of fire that swept through the city.
The aftermath of the big one will wreak havoc on infrastructure and the economy.
Below our streets and our buildings is this really complicated network of infrastructure that could be damaged, and a lot of the things we take for granted every day won't be available anymore, right? Like water, electricity, being able to drive where you need to drive.
Oh, it is mental, isn't it?
It's like you take for granted every day, isn't it? And then, you know, even just being able to get in the car and drive and get your destination safe.
Yeah,
you don't even think about it when you get in the car and drive.
Yeah.
But you can't even...
It's the fact that we know that's there, but there's nothing you can do about it because it is just Mother Nature.
Yeah.
And like you just wait and hopefully it doesn't hit.
Can't prevent it.
But you just waiting. It's one of them things. It may happen. It may not. When will it? It's more kind of when it sounds like. But
for California,
there's something you can do about it. And that is Mother Nature's scary. It's so scary.
Area's fault intersect with 39 gas and oil pipelines. This could rupture high-pressure gas lines, releasing gas into the air and igniting potentially deadly explosions.
So if you have natural gas lines that rupture, that's how you can get fire and explosions.
And after the fires burn out, one of the biggest concerns in a major earthquake is access to fresh water. The major aqueduct networks that pump water into Southern California all cross the San Andreas Fault and could be seriously damaged.
So we would be without the lifelines that bring in imported water to the region. They cross through tunnels, cross through aqueducts near the surface. All of these would be ruptured, and so we would be losing 60% of our water supply.
Wow.
Many of these distribution lines for water are near sewer lines, which would also be broken. So now you have a situation where contaminants are potentially getting into the water supply.
Experts say you should keep at least a 2-week supply of water in your home. As the ground shakes and sediments shift, there will be landslides throughout Ventura and western Los Angeles County.
There could be thousands of landslides. There have been earthquakes that have produced thousands. Landslides definitely can cause fatalities, property damage. We have a lot of people who live up in the hills, right? And so that's the location where you would be likely to see landslides affecting people.
And finally, the big one will severely impact the economy. Major transportation networks like highways and railways could be unusable for weeks and even months.
Some bridges may not be passable after an earthquake. We've had bridges collapse during past earthquakes.
You might start seeing key industries leave. population loss,
It's mental.
and this could have, devastating long-term impacts for the region.
The estimated financial cost of the big one is a whopping $200 billion, with $33 billion in building damages and $50 billion in lost economic activity. This all sounds pretty bad, but keep in mind that this is based off of a worst-case scenario.
That's true.
The true impact of a major earthquake is based on a range of unknowable factors. Also, smaller earthquakes on faults directly beneath major population centers are a serious concern.
But the worst-case earthquakes are hard to predict. That earthquake in Japan in 2011, their cost almost entirely came because their nuclear power plant melted down. It's very hard to predict what's going to fail in a big earthquake.
So, how can Californians prepare for the big one?
Really have a plan in place. Where are you going to meet? What are you going to do?
Leave
Have water
California,
ready. I have a 55-gallon drum full of water.
Leave
There's some
California.
chemical additive.
Yeah, I mean, obviously pay attention to this, but again, it must be quite scary. Again, it's weird because obviously you think of America with the weather and all that, you think tornadoes scary, hurricanes scary, stuff like that. But then you've also got people, potentially some of you legends as well, who have a plan in place. If it does ever hit, we'll meet there. We've got this water spare, always prepared
it's weird,
for it.
Like that I don't know, like here we don't even have to think about that. It doesn't cross our mind at all.
Yeah.
But knowing that
You
you're
never
in
know.
your own home and you don't even know if you're gonna
It
have
could
your
just
home
happen
life
any
forever.
day.
It could happen tomorrow.
It's
God
quote
help it
unquote
doesn't.
overdue, isn't it? So
But then I don't know.
it is a mental thing to get your head around,
Never
isn't it?
knowing when it's gonna happen, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's scary. Very scary. It may never happen in any of our lifetimes. But
Hopefully, it
in
doesn't.
theory, it could happen tomorrow. Hopefully, it doesn't. But that's the reality of it, isn't it?
I put in it so it's potable for 5 years. 55 gallons is the right amount for I have a family of 4. That'll last us for 2 weeks. Canned food,
where do you put
you
those?
have to be ready.
Well,
I would say
you've
it's
got your boiler and stuff like that, your water supply and stuff like that will be in your house, in your system. You just keep it
in
stocked
your house.
up.
But what happens
Yeah.
if your house is obviously
Well, then that's worst case, isn't it?
worst case? Yeah.
I haven't got all the answers.
It's just a plan to stay sort of where you are. Getting out of LA is bad enough without an earthquake, right? Traffic's already terrible. If roads are closed and people are all trying to leave, it's going to really be bad.
Well, stay safe, guys. Scary, scary stuff, isn't it? Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, ever. I think we've learned today. Hopefully, maybe if you live in an area and potentially didn't know about it, I don't know how talked about it is, or if a lot of you guys have plans for it, or if it's a case of not really thought about, only a few people think about it. So maybe it's made you aware as well. Hopefully it hasn't scared anyone as well, because like we said, fingers crossed it will never happen in our lifetime. Smash the like button if you enjoyed, guys. Smash the subscribe button and watch the video.
Have a fantastic day.
And we'll see you legends in the next one. Peace.